Welcome everyone, we're just getting people in, so if you just give us a few moments while we get people in through the doors, that would be really helpful. Roger is on the piano, giving us a little bit of a tune while we get people in, so thank you everyone, we'll be starting shortly.
right, everyone, we'll be getting started very shortly. We'll give it just a few more minutes. Thank you, Roger, for providing us with some music. In the meantime. All right, we'll be ready to go in 1 minute. 1 minute. all right, everyone. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much, Ro, for providing us with some welcoming music. We are going to get this meeting started, this event started, and very, very excited to be here with you this morning or afternoon or wherever you are joining us from your time zone. My name is Mandisa Thomas. I am the founder and president of Black Nonbelievers Incorporated, which is located in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We are a 501c3 organization headquartered in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I might have said that before, that is dedicated to providing community for as well as advocacy for Blacks and allies who are leaving religion, who have already left religion, and who might otherwise be shunned by family members and friends. And instead of accepting dogma, we determine truth and morality through reason and evidence. I'm happy to be joined here today, co-hosting this event with the Association of Black Humanists, which is based in London, in the United Kingdom. And co-hosting this event with me from the organization is Clive Aruede. Please correct me if I pronounce that incorrectly. This is a celebration of atheism and humanism across the African diaspora. And what's historic and monumental about this is that as the rise of religious nuns continues to increase, we're seeing that amongst in the African diaspora and people of color across the world, we're seeing that secularism is it's increasing, and it was important, especially this year, to see us come together and show that we are doing some amazing things around the world, especially in the face of religious privilege and in some cases tyranny. And so we're here today to present you with some organizers, speakers, and performers so that you can see what we're all doing around the world and how we're coming together and how we can continue working together as well. So at this time, I will turn it over to Clive to say a few words. Clive, are you unmuted?
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much, and very warm welcome to everyone. Great day. I'm representing the Association of Black Humanists based in the UK, and we did a little bit to help to get this event together. And again, we are here to as a sort of safe space for people who are left religions, because as we all know, in the Black community, religion is a very powerful influence. And for those who choose to leave, it can be a very uncomfortable experience. So we're here to help people through that process, to provide a safe space, and also to provide an alternative, because once you've left religion, you've pretty much cut off all sorts of social ties and all sorts of social networks, and we help to provide an alternative family, if you like, for people who are in that position. So we are really, really happy to see so many of you here today supporting this event, and also we have to say thank you to people from all around the world, whether you're from Black descendants from Africa or anywhere else, or from other ethnic communities around the world, for lending us your support. And hopefully we'll hear from you as the day goes on. Thank you so much. And we're going to have to move quickly because the time is short and we've got so much to get through. Okay, so I'll just like to finish by asking Mandisa to take over again, and we're going to move on with the rest of the program.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Clive. And yes, once again, thank you to everyone tuning in today or this morning, afternoon, again, wherever you're joining us from. We appreciate all the support and camaraderie and the love that we've built with our colleagues and friends and loved ones within this community. And one of the people that I'm going to be introducing next is very well known in the international humanist, atheist, and secular community. He's a writer, has done work on trying to combat witchcraft on the continent of Africa. Well-noted scholar on humanism. And I will actually let him introduce himself a bit more as this goes on. So please welcome our first speaker for the program, Dr. Leo Igwe.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Mandisa, and thank you, Clive. The Association of Black Humanists and Black Nonbelievers for convening this historic meeting and for creating this platform to highlight Black atheist and humanist pride. It's exciting to be part of this event and to be connected with a growing network of Black non-believers, skeptics, free thinkers. In fact, no matter how you want to identify yourself, historical, cultural, and social incumbrances have made it difficult for non-believers in Black community to come out and openly identify themselves as humanists or atheists or skeptics. But as this online event and other recent developments have shown, the free thought landscape in Africa and the African diaspora is changing, and this is a cause for celebration even amidst the gathering clouds. The growing visibility of non-belief in the Black community is a welcome development, especially in challenging the stereotype in academic and popular literature that conflicts being Black and being religious. So this event is yet another step towards adequately situating the discourse on Black religiosity and irreligiosity. It is a step towards highlighting Black free thought specifics, Black free thought pride, solidarity, music, fellowship. For too long, Blacks have largely been associated with religious belief, magic, spiritism, and occult. The Black culture has been conceptualized as estranged from irreligious, non-theistic elements and components. In fact, some years ago, while I was doing my field work in Ghana, I traveled to a beach in Accra. And look, you can have this experience anywhere, whether it's Nigeria or Malawi or other places. So it's not peculiar to Ghana. So there, I met a man wearing a white robe. He wanted to perform some magic, do some magic display for me. And in the course of our conversation, I told him that I was an atheist. The man stared at me for a while and asked, bending towards me, "Are you not an African?" From time to time, one confronts this narrative that says that a Black person or an African is essentially religious or theistic. But we know that is not the case, and that the Black African culture is diverse. So with events like these, we explode the myth, we force the proposition, and occasion a cognitive dissonance in the minds of many. Atheism, skeptical rationality, humanism have a long history and deep roots in Black African culture, as the case may be. Incidentally, these cultural trends are seldom emphasized and are designated as alien or as Western or as white. So it is worthwhile to celebrate or at least recognize trends of irreligiosity and unbelief in Africa and African diaspora. So it is in order to take pride in the history of free thought and the growing influence and possibilities of non-theism in Black communities. I hope this event will not be a one-off program, and that in the months and years ahead, Black non-believers will have occasions like this to meet and interact online and offline, to congregate, to fellowship. Yeah, that word should not always be used for religious gatherings. We can also use it for free thought gatherings. Yes. And take pride in Black free thought history and struggles. These struggles are going on as we are meeting here in Nigeria, in South Africa, in the United States, in the Caribbean, and in other places around the world. We need platform to send messages first to the people of the world that Black non-believers exist, that we are here, that we are citizens, we are neighbors, we are friends, we are partners, we are children, we are parents. And yes, we are fellow human beings. And to people of faith, that we, Black non-believers, seek to live with them in peace and in equal dignity and respect. I repeat, equal dignity and respect. And that we seek an end to situations where discrimination and persecution of non-believers is seen as an article of faith or implemented as a state policy. Then unto non-believers who feel lonely or alone, who find themselves in places and societies where they are persecuted, imprisoned, threatened with execution, or treated as mentally sick people, as we saw until recently in Sudan, and we are seeing even in Nigeria and in many places across the Black world. We want them to know, and we want you to know, you are not alone, and you will not walk alone. We, Black non-believers, we stand with you, and we will walk with you all the way to freedom. Thank you so much, and I look forward to very productive and fruitful deliberations.
Thank you very much, Leo.
Thank you, Leo. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a special guest today. And this man is the president of the Humanist International, and he's also the chief executive of Humanist UK. So he's a person who has always helped us and has always wanted to work with us at Association of Black Humanists. So please just let's listen for a minute or two to Andrew Copson. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Clive. Just to listen, and then I wish that was still the case. Listening to Leo having to follow an orator is a little bit intimidating, but having registered just to listen, Clive saw me on the list and asked me to say something, and I'm happy to say something, although it'll be very brief. As Clive said, I'm currently the president of Humanist International, so I'll try and say something quickly from a global perspective and then reflect a little bit on the UK and the last 15 years of my experience in the last 15 years being chief executive of Humanist UK. So from the international global perspective first, we have only, in Humanist International, only 12 member organizations in Africa. So it is the most underrepresented global region for us. But humanism in Africa, as we know, is growing all the time. We had 4 years ago our first African director from Uganda, in Humanist International. As of last year, our first African woman, Ros from Ghana, who is one of your speakers today. And Leo himself is, I hope, going to be elected, he's a candidate anyway, to the international board this year. So it is growing all the time. We're getting more active in Africa all the time, African humanists are. And an ironic fact about the rising persecution that humanists are facing in Africa, things like the case of our friend Mubarak Bala, is that the rise of persecution of humanists in Africa indicates, of course, that we now exist there and are visible there and are available to be persecuted. So every negative trend, as we see around the world like that, often indicates something positive going underneath. But nonetheless, Africa has always been a difficult global region for us. We have a double bind. The humanist movement has a double bind on that continent that we don't have in other places. Firstly, the Christian, on the one hand, the Christian religion, of course, has either on its own or in its syncretic forms an incredibly powerful hold over the minds and hearts and communities of many people in many parts of Africa. And so humanism is seen as anti-Christian, un-African in that sense. And yet on the other hand, as Leo touched on, humanist thought, in spite of its global heritage, its global history and its universal nature, is too often seen also as un-African or anti-African or Western. And so that terrible double dilemma that Christianity, a religion that was imported into Africa, is seen as a more true African thing than a humanist approach to life, which has probably been across Africa just as it's been across the rest of the world for as long as there have been human beings. So of course we have that problem in Africa. And that's not just in Africa, by the way. When we had our General Assembly in New Zealand just a couple of years ago, we heard from Maori humanists who experienced the same problems, that their parents, when they themselves said that they had become humanists and wanted to talk to their parents about it, their parents felt it as being a sort of double betrayal to not only have lost so much in the past, but now to giving up just even their worldview to a new colonialism of this Western idea of humanism that was coming from them. So I think that's the fact that we have now in Africa such persuasive humanists in thought and deed like Leo and many others is of course a great promise for the future there. From a UK perspective, and this is really why I registered as a guest at this event to listen to what people had to say. From a UK perspective, my observations are slightly different. In the last 15 years, having conversations with either Black members or Black non-religious people that I meet, we get caught in a different type of dilemma. And I don't know whether this is true in the US, and I'm interested to hear more from everyone today. When I talk to non-religious Black people in the UK who've maybe decided not to get fully involved in the movement, in our organizations, in organizing, in our community life, it's often for two reasons that are almost irreconcilable. On the one hand, it might be because they are incredibly militant and incredibly angry and have had a very religious upbringing and now have turned against it so strongly that the humanist movement isn't saying enough about that for them. They are in negative mode, and all they want to do is target that with a capital A atheist. Or on the other hand, they don't want to get too involved with the humanist movement because everything in their family life, in their culture, their community is religious, and they don't want to upset their mother basically by appearing, as a public humanist, and that comes up so often. So both in Africa and in the UK, obviously we face different difficulties, but both double dilemmas about getting people involved. And what's the answer? I don't know. That's where I'm going to go back to listening. But all I know is that two of the humanists who've most inspired me have been Black humanists. In the case of James Baldwin, an African-American humanist. In the case of Wole Soyinka, obviously still with us, a Nigerian. And the reason I've been inspired by them is their transcendent understanding of what the humanist approach to life can be. They were both really rooted in their individual background, culture and experience, but also reaching out. They're global, they're people who are global in their imaginative sympathies. And that's really where I end up with this, I think. The humanist approach is a universal one. It has a call for all people in this world. I really believe that. But we all hear that call in our particular situations. And I think that it's bringing that together somehow, that we will be able to bring more people from more backgrounds, more ethnicities, more countries, more global regions in the international dimension into the humanist movement. And that's what I hope that these incredibly promising stirrings of humanism in both the African diaspora and Africa itself promise to help us do in the years to come. So thank you very much. And now I shall disappear and just listen.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for joining us from the UK. It's a pleasure to have you and everyone who is listening in support this event. We're going to head into our first, in addition to Roger playing in the beginning, we are headed to our first piece of entertainment or talent. And this is someone who I consider a sister in creative arms. I had the pleasure of meeting her. She's representing Puerto Rico. Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro, she is a writer. She represents the Afro-Latina identity as well as the LGBTQ community. You can find more of her work. I'll be sharing links during her performance. So please welcome to the stage, Yolanda Pizarro.
Thank you. Hello.
You are live.
Thanks. This is a reflection in form of a poem. Una reflexión en forma de poema de una negra atea from a Black Nonbeliever. It was born in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Spanglish, and it contains 2 pieces. Piece number 1. Vomitorium. I remember that day very well, como si hubiera pasado ayer. I remember the white tears and the white fragility and the white mansplaining. The misogynoir, that ugly misogyny that is worse than the rest of all other misogynies. That instant hate against my Black female skin. ¿Por qué será que molesta mucho más que sea una mujer negra quien se atreva? ¿Por qué será que molesta mucho más que mi abuela desde jovencita me haya bautizado Afrodiva? ¿Por qué será que molesta mucho más que lo haya dicho una afrolesbiana? Why is it that it bothers much worse, much more, that it is a Black woman who dares? Why is it that it bothers much worse, much more, that my grandmother had baptized me from a young age with the name Afrodiva? Why is it that it bothers much worse, much more, that I am an Afro-lesbian? Actually, it was almost yesterday, because fue el 29 de julio del 2020 a las 9 de la noche. July 29 of 2020 at 9 p.m. I had an epiphany, and then I wrote, pregunta seria. Ustedes los que tienen grupos, colectivos y corillos, ¿no se cansan de que esos grupos, de que esos colectivos y esos corillos sean tan blancos? Es demasiada la blanquitud en sus proyectos. Es vomitivo. And I meant, serious question, why do you have groups, collectives, clusters, and corillos so white? Do you ever get tired of being so white? I mean, this is Puerto Rico, hello 2020. How come there is still so much whiteness in all of your art, cultural projects? It is vomitorium. El escritor puertorriqueño, blanco, cis, Juan López Bauzá, autor de la novela Barataria, y premiado, galardonado con premios literarios, of all people, decide to answer me. He decide llamarle reverse racism a mi cuestionamiento, a my question. Y añade que él es mucho más negro que yo, porque él es babalao, y esa espiritualidad lo convierte en un ser mucho más cerca a mis ancestros de lo que nunca yo lo estaré. He defined himself as much blacker than me because he is a babalao, and that spirituality makes him a being very much closer to my ancestors than I will ever be. Facebook explotó. Cientos y cientos de comentarios nos hicieron esperar de grupos antirracistas afrofeministas que comenzaron a debatir, a exigir, a denunciar, a defender y a explicar al babalao blanco por qué su comentario era horrible, horrible. Yo contesté con 2 fotos. I answered with 2 photographs. Una en que estoy bebiendo café de una taza que lee White Tears. Y otra en la que estoy con un turbante y esta camisa que lee White Silence is Violence. Also, in that photograph, I was showing my middle finger. Las voces más vocales y líderes en mi contra, voces racistas y misóginas, vinieron de un escritor negro, que es además abogado, de una escritora blanca, que se defiende con ser afrodescendiente, de la expresidenta del Pen Club de Puerto Rico, una mujer blanca y rica, de un crítico literario, el líder de un proyecto de publicaciones, el dueño de una librería y una iglesia o casa espiritual yoruba. Todos me llamaron a capítulo y me mandaron a callar, a silenciar, to silence me. René González, otro sacerdote babalao que a su vez tiene una cuenta falsa en Facebook desde donde se hace llamar Juan Almeida, escribió: Yolanda es una negra sucia, solo promueve negro supremacy images, es sucia y es cobarde. Otros le imitaron y empezaron a decir negra tal cosa, negra tal cual, very nasty negro, dirty N-words for me. And I initiated a challenge desde mi página. Hashtag el negra sucia challenge. Hashtag you are an N-word nasty black lady challenge. Invite everyone to went to the page, the Facebook page of the Babalao, y que contaran las veces que se me llamaban insultos racistas. La gente comenzó a ir y a contar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insults. Some people counted until 500. But because of the backlash, 8 days later, the Babalao writer that started the reverse racist comment deleted the post. Estas son mis reflexiones. Those are my reflections. Why this is still a thing in 2020? Why still so much misogynoir? Why religions with Afro roots keep oppressing Black people? Why any religion keep oppressing my people? Piece number 2. Tratado de Auto-Afro-Reparación. Treaty of Self-Esteem Afro-Reparations. I will heal the racist wound caused for everyone who has told me ugly because of my skin color. Of those who have used the hurtful phrase, let's improve the race. Of those who have dared to call my afro as bad hair. I will heal the wound, and I will repair with compassion and tenderness the insults and the meanness stuck in my heart. I will kiss my black hands. I will caress my dark skin from my shoulders. I will hug myself. I will heal the wound, and I will say to my big nose that deserves praise, that deserves glories, tours of dignity and respect, I will heal the wound and whisper to my big mouth, which is worthy of congratulations and kisses. I will say to my white forehead that she's like the motherland Africa, broad, expansive, extraordinary. I will heal the wound And I will never allow, never, ever again that someone hurt me. I will repair. Afro repair. Afro brace yourself. Let's Afro repair our family. Let's Afro repair our school system. We will Afro repair the community. Let's all Afro repair ourselves. I beg you, I implore you, Afro reparations now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. That was amazing. In case you haven't seen the chat, there are links to Yolanda's work as well as ways to support her. Please do consider that. Yes, she has a lot of Afro-feminist, LGBTQ, atheist work. And she deserves to be supported along with everyone else. So thank you very much for joining us. Afro-atheismo forever. So we were going to have Jeremiah Kamara join us, but unfortunately he won't be able to make it. So we are going to move on to the panel discussions with some amazing organizers and presenters. I think Clive and I are going to share that responsibility there, but I'll do the first one. I'm pleased to introduce the first panel for this program. And we're going to ask a couple of questions. And if you have any questions for the panelists and the performers, please do direct them to us. If the previous presenters have, if they're still on, you're welcome to ask them as well. But we ask you also to direct any questions to us. So I'm pleased to once again, here's our first panel. We have Kato Mukasa representing Uganda. I have Lola Tinubu, who is representing the Association of Black Humanists out of the UK. We also have Clive Forrester from Yardi Skeptics out of Jamaica. We also have with us Udaya Kumar joining us from India. Thank you all very much for joining us today. And we're going to ask the first question. We're going to ask two questions, and we ask that each response be limited to about 2 to 3 minutes. So the first question is, how can humanism and non-belief progress when livelihood and culture is so strongly tied to religion? And whoever wants to start that first can.
So, well, I guess I'll start off. Morning, everybody. This is Clive, the other Clive in the chat from Yardi Skeptics. And the other Yardi Skeptic is in the house as well, Hilaire Sobers. I think he has his camera off. But could you just repeat the question quickly again, Mandisa? And I'll just offer what I think it might be an answer.
Absolutely, Clive. The question is, how can humanism and non-belief progress when livelihood and culture is so strongly tied to religion?
Well, so certainly in the case of Jamaica, that's a tricky one. While livelihood, social respectability, and just well-being tends to be directly tied to religion at the church in Jamaica, so is social dysfunction, ideas, incorrect ideas about sexuality, how children should be raised, as well as a kind of general apathy towards, actually improving the status of Jamaican life. So there's this tendency to think that, well, God will provide, right? God will make things better. So, while it might be true that the kind of social capital that a lot of Jamaicans have is tied to their attendance or association with a particular church, it is also the case that various aspects of Jamaican life are failing to progress because of their reliance on church. A good example a few years ago, the Minister of National Security of Jamaica at the time said that the crime problem is so bad in Jamaica that it would require divine intervention to remedy. This is a person that is paid by taxpayers, who is elected to lead, manage, and eventually present solutions for the crime and violence problem in Jamaica. And when you have an elected official saying that, well, we need to rely on divine intervention, you know that we're in serious problems, fine? Because at least in the case of Jamaica, and I'm sure everywhere else, it has always been persons on the front lines working hard that have actually brought forward meaningful solutions. So this reliance that we see on divine intervention and the role of clergy who have expertise in theological matters, but not socioeconomic matters, and the kind of heavy insistence that the church needs to play a leading role in every single aspect of Jamaican life is actually many times a hindrance to our social progress, our economic progress, and fulfilling what we need to fulfill as a society in Jamaica. So that's what I would have to say as a start.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Clive. We're going to go to Lola next. Lola?
I can't begin to express the joy that I have for this event, to have people from about 12 countries, Black people coming together. As has already been, as everyone knows, to be a non-believer and a Black person is just, it is sad that this is where we still are, and our existence is still ruled by superstitious belief. Having said that, the message, it is a message that I have today, and the message is for us, Black unbelievers, and other unbelievers throughout the world. I've always said, religion has little to do about God. And religion actually has little to do about the belief. It seems it's about the belief, but when we take time to look deeply and we dissect it, we have to understand it's not about so much about the belief, and it has little to do about God. When we become, I remember when I first became an atheist, I went crazy. I was angry. I was militant. I wanted to destroy religion. I had that energy. That was my mission for the first 5 years. Now I regret that. I now take a look, especially in Africa. Religion is your bread, it's your butter, it's your love, it's your hope. We have a lot of hopelessness. When we become atheists and we think we are intelligent, we are not intelligent until we accept what religion is and truly is. We don't have government. We don't have ambulance. If something is wrong with you, you can't even get an ambulance. That is what religion is. And religion has moved into that space. So when we talk, when we ridicule, we can ridicule religion. I'm not saying we cannot ridicule belief. I'm not saying we cannot ridicule ideas, but we need to be careful how we are doing it. And this is the message that I have for atheists. When people go to a religious gathering, what religion does, even though it may not be true, and sometimes people don't even need the truth. Unfortunately, we need the truth. I want to correct that. But sometimes the truth is not enough. Sometimes you would rather have false hope than nothing. When people go to church, it's about the promises. Deep down, sometimes people know that their pastors are lying. People are not stupid. I've been there with all the reasons why we are all atheists now, those of us that believed before. We had questions, and people are still asking those questions. They are sitting in churches. Do not think that they are stupid. Do not think that they are not questioning their leaders. Do not think that they are not questioning their belief. Do not think that they are not asking, where is God? They are asking those questions. When they go to church, Sunday, I was an Adventist, Saturday or Sunday is the day, one day a week, you dress up in your best clothing. You look in the mirror, you feel good. Sunday or Saturday, one day in the week, when you go to places and you dance your heart out and you forget that you haven't eaten much. You've been hit. No, you cannot afford to cool yourself. Your children are sick, but that moment you are dancing, please do not ridicule that dance. Do not ridicule that dance. That day is the day they are hugging each other and calling each other sister, my brother. Please do not ridicule them. Ridicule their leaders. Ridicule the leaders. And as atheists, as humanists, we need to step it out of, we really need to step out of the social media and just saying to people, this is what your Bible believes. This is what your Bible says. People don't read their Bible. The pastor, they tell them one line, love their neighbor as their self. If you pay attention to what the preachers, they have about 5 verses. Don't tell them what the Bible says. They're not reading the Bible. When they come to our platform, when they come to atheists, a lot of people are asking questions. Do not put them off, please. I'm begging you. When they come to our platform, let them find solutions to their problems. What do we have to offer other than ridicule? What do we have to offer outside of telling them how stupid they are? They are not stupid, I'm telling you. Do not call desperate people stupid. When they come to our pages, what are they reading there? Do they see love? Do they see love? Do they see solutions? These are the things. There are things that we need to criticize. There are things that we have in common. Let us pay attention to what humanity needs and what humanity has in common. We need fairness, we need equality, we need freedom of thought. For example, this is where my brother Leo Igwe, the thing that is championing, even believers will be behind him. There is a Muslim in Nigeria now who has been sentenced to death. This is not Mubarak. Mubarak is no longer a Muslim. We have problem with, we have Mubarak situation, but then we also have another singer. This singer is actually a Muslim. And then he's praised an imam and he's on death sentence now because he said something that make them feel that he has elevated, he has praised this imam more than Muhammad. Mm-hmm. The thing that we are facing. So we need to focus on the common issues that humanity is facing. Freedom of speech. We need to talk, we need to also come together and condemn. Gosh, I want to say this, and I'm saying this, and I hope that people understand me. Please do not cancel me on this. Please, I may not say it absolutely correctly, but we need to face Black leaders, please. We need to protest against African leaders, please. Like I said, religion is butter and bread. The reason why religion has this more to hold in Africa is the recklessness and the irresponsibility of our leaders. Our leaders are killing our people, making them hungry, making them suffer. We need to come together and protest against our leaders and fight our leaders with everything that we have. This is my message to you, my brothers and sisters in reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lola, for that passionate response. We're going to move on to Udaya.
Yeah, good morning or good evening, good afternoon to everyone who joined. So first I would like to thank Mandisa and other organizers for giving me this opportunity. So I would like to start with the organization from which I'm representing. It is called as Tamil's Organization of Dravidian Movement and Puthiya Kural, which is basically in Tamil Nadu in India. So we have a different story of atheism in our land. So I'll start with the famous incantation of our leader Periyar. There is no God, there is no God, there is no God at all. He who invented God is a fool. He who propagates God is a scoundrel. He who worships God is a barbarian. You know, like when you see these lines are inscripted, like they are written in every statue of Periyar, and these statues are erected none other than in front of the places of worship, temples in Tamil Nadu. And you know, like for almost 60-70 years, all the people who go to these places of worship or temple here, they have to see this statue and these lines. And he is still a beloved leader all over the Tamil Nadu, and he is loved by millions of people, and no political party would like to detest him, or they cannot stray away from these lines. So with this history of atheism here, so when coming to our this question, when concerned with this event, like culture and livelihood, when it is strongly tied to religion, how we can progress humanism and atheism. So the aim of life is to live an independent, joyful, and peaceful life. So when we see these cultures and other livelihoods that these religions prescribe, do you think they are these cultures and livelihood will take us to a place where we can have an independent life or a peaceful or joyful life? The answer is absolutely no, because what do you know, like the religious celebrations or the other day-to-day activities that these religious institutions compel on us, or they coerce us to do, you know, like we cannot do it on our daily day-to-day activities, and most people don't follow it. So when we come to these celebrations, like the religious festivals and other things, people just follow this because of they wanted to have some fun in their life, like to have some purchase new clothes or other accessories. And especially with the commercialization of these festivals by the other industries and business people, these things have taken a different route nowadays. So they are they are religious, these festivals are religious in a very low percentage. So like we have to get in the the educational institutions to play to play a bigger role in these kind of religious celebrations and other things, because the education institution should be secular. It should not support any religion or any religious festivals in the education institutions. So that should be the first start. And then the role of the scientists and doctors, it should be it should be exponential. So they should come out and they should reach the public, and we as atheists, we should organize these things with scientists and doctors to say whatever that religion says, it is not science, it is not medical. Even though if there is some truth, it should be analyzed with our spirit of inquiry. So these things are the role of atheists and scientists and doctors to to build a society which will have an inquiry into the religious practices that they do. And I have to quote a famous line from Anna, or a leader who was a chief minister of our government. He said, rationalism does not mean repudiation of basic and fundamental truth and maxims, but annihilation of dubious modes of thought and action. Okay, there may be something which is scientific in a religion, but that should be taken out of religion and it should be seen in a scientific eye. So that is the way in which we should take we should try to bring people out of religion. And as atheism and humanism, the way we present to them, as other panelists said, it is not to ridicule the people who are religious. It is the compassion that we should have to bring them out of their religious life, to free them from their religious when they are inside some religious jails. So it is our duty to free them, and it is not to ridicule them. So as atheists, we should be very truthful, we should be honest, and we should be sincere in our approach. If we if we deviate in any of these things in our approach or in our life, then it will present a bad picture of all the atheists all over the world. So we have to be careful in our approach and our propaganda. So with these lines, I would like to say that we should, as the other panelists said, our reach should be to the people, to the government. The government should be more secular, and the religious practices and other festivals, everything should be confined more to a private space. The elected representatives should not participate in any religious festivals or other practices. They should not organize by using the taxpayers' money. That is more important. So with these lines, I would like to conclude for this question. Thank you, Mandisa.
Thank you very much, Uday, and thank you for representing the country of India. So we have a second question, but it sounds, I'm going to ask it real quick and ask that the responses be kept brief. How can humanists and non-belief organizations increase their capacity to respond in a crisis to support communities? And I'll start again with Clive.
And this is any kind of crisis in general?
I guess, because since there's many, so yeah.
Well, so I think one of the things that humanist groups could do is to ensure that they actually have a community, right? I know that individuals here in this meeting now are a part of different groups and so on. And I imagine that many of these groups started online, right? Started on Facebook, they started digitally and so on. And I'm a part of a group called Jamaicans for Secular Humanism, which is on Facebook. And one of the hardest things with a lot of these groups is to get them out of the social media space, fine? To kind of mobilize persons and get them in communities, whether it is a crisis or even when there's no crisis, right? To get them out in communities, show our faces, which is hard for a lot of Black persons. A lot of Jamaican persons who identify as atheist or agnostic don't want the public to know, fine? So that is the hardest part of it. And I think just as how religious groups will mobilize themselves, whether it's a crisis or not, humanist groups should be doing exactly the same thing as well. It might include volunteering. It might include simple things like having a kind of, especially now, having a kind of homework or after school tutoring free of cost, run by a humanist association. And unlike religious groups, we will not be trying to convert or whatever. Fine. So my area is linguistics, And I do, I teach academic writing as well. So if you have a child who is in high school, at university, maybe it is a case that a few humanists like myself could get together, run an after school program. It would have to be via Zoom nowadays. But this is an ongoing crisis that we're facing, this pandemic, and a lot of students are struggling as it relates to maintaining, academic studies and so on in a kind of, beneficial environment. And humanists certainly could respond to something like that. So I think that would be very crucial, to kind of organize our community and then mobilize our community without any added pressure to preach, to convert, to kind of solicit membership or anything like that. Fine. We are humanists. We have expertise in a variety of different areas. And whenever the community is in a crisis, or even when there's no crisis, we are willing to help. We are willing to volunteer. And if you ask us, yes, we are non-believers too. So I think that could be a possible approach.
Yes, thank you for that, Clive. Lola?
Yes, that's a very important point, Clive. At the moment, for many Black non-believers, the social media is their safe space, and coming together, it depends on which country you are in. For those of us who are in places where we can come together and we feel safe to come together, I think, there are different problems. There are day-to-day problems for even non-believers. So we, at the Association of Black Humanists, we try to befriend our members so that it's a one-to-one relationship, and we try to encourage each other and uphold each other. But I think outside of our community, because one of the things that religion has done so successfully is to say to the world that we are here for people in need, and we are here to deal with world crisis. And we don't have the means to, to occupy that space yet, because it takes a lot of money to respond to crisis in the society. But I think that the thing that we can look into as groups is to attach ourselves to existing non-religious charity organizations, so that when there is, we should try and have formal relationship with certain organizations. For example, I think in Nigeria, I know for a fact in Nigeria, the Amnesty, there is a kind of connection between the Nigerian humanists. I think Brother Leo Igwe will be in a better position, and the Amnesty International, so that they highlight certain things. So we need to attach ourselves to different organizations that we can work with, so that when there is a crisis, then it's not just the voice of priests and religious leaders that have been heard, or it's not just them that are visible, because that's one of the things that people ask, what do you do? What are you, religion is a charitable thing. What do you actually do? But we do things. Most of us, we contribute through existing charity organizations. But I think we need to create more attachment and a better structure, so that when there is a crisis, we can be there and be seen with them, and then lend our voice and practical support.
Thank you very much, Lola. And finally, Uday.
Yeah, regarding this crisis management, that we have to respond as a single body, or as a single under a single banner of atheists. I would like to say that again, that what Periyar said, like Kadavulai Mara Manidanai Ninu, it means that forget God and think of humans. So we know that there cannot be any divine intervention to resolve any problem. So it means that only humans, like we have to take care of all our crises and we have to resolve them. So when we speak about crisis, like when we have to connect throughout the world, first we have to ensure that we have a minimum rights to speak against the government that is existing, because like if it is because of a religious something, religious riots or something, and if we have to come out and respond to that crisis, and if the government has a rule that we should not oppose the religion or faith, which would in turn hurt the religious sentiments of people, then obviously we'll be under the action of law. So for that we should first come up with the universal like some rights, like universal human rights or something like that, which would ensure that we can speak in any country or in any part of the world against the religion and against these kind of atrocities, and we should be ensured that we have the right to speak first. So that freedom of speech throughout the world is, I think, is the thing that is most important. And the second thing is that all the agitations or the protests or demonstration that we organize or we take in the name of atheism, it should be more peaceful. It should not be there should not be any violent activities in it, and it should be it should be organized in a more perfect way, and we should not be afraid of any other threats of religious fanatics or anyone. So that courage is more important, and that decorum is more important when we have to respond as a crisis, and we all should stand together under a single banner of atheism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the first panel. Thank you very much to our guests for their very powerful and insightful words. We hope you stick around for the for the rest of the program. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Clive from ABH, so he can introduce our next performer. I'm going to Clive Aruede.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thanks very much to the panel for all their thoughtful responses. We are not going to have another, or the person we intended to entertain at this very moment, simply because he didn't show up. But what we can do is to ask if we could have a little bit of tinkling of the ivories from Roger. Is he still?
Yes, Roger, who I'd like to introduce, who is in addition to being a performance artist, is the chief organizer for the DC affiliate of Black Nonbelievers. And as you can see, we have some very, very talented folks across the diaspora. And that's also important in building our community as well, and one that is based in reason and evidence. So, Roger, if you wouldn't mind
Sure.
performing for us at this time, that would be great. Thank you. I'm going to post the links to your work as well.
Sure. Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I was just speaking about how full I am to be in fellowship with everybody that's on this call, representing all of our diversity and so forth. This is a song that I wrote, and it's on one of my many albums that I've got. Can everybody hear me? Can you all hear me all right?
Just a little bit louder, please.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
That's a little bit better? Let me just.
Yes.
Okay. So the last full album that I did a few years ago, and I've got many, but I did a project called The Shedding, which was sort of the project that I did when I had transitioned out of religion. And I wrote this album called The Shedding, which had a lot of, and this is a song that I play every time I do my show. It's called Good to Know You.
I love your smile and your touch is amazing. And all the while I will write after years of nothing. It's good to know you. It's good to love you. It's good to know you. It's good to love you. I love your swag. Every day is a day. I'm grateful. I'll go the mile. What you do, where you go, I'm with you. It's good to know you. It's good to love you. It's good to know you. Yeah, yeah. It's good to love you. I've got your taste on my lips. It's a sweet relief. When things were dark, you were light. You have changed me inside. It's good to know you. Yeah, it's good to love you. Yeah, yeah, it's good to know you. Yeah, it's good to love you. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's good to have you. Yeah, it's good to know you. It's good to love you. So I say it again, it's good to know you. Yeah, it's good to love you. Yeah, it's good to know you.
Please
Yes,
put your hands together.
sir.
Yeah, Roger, thanks so much. That was wonderful. So we're going to move on to having the next panel. And this next panel is full of people who I love and admire so much. So I start by calling on my brother Moses Alusala from Kenya as a panelist. And then we also have Muzi Wandile Moyo from South Africa. So are you there? Yes. And also next is David Ince, who is originally from Barbados, but now in Canada, I understand. And so that'll be great. And of course, my sister Ros Lyn from Ghana. And finally, Enitan Odupitan, who is now in Finland. But if I'm not mistaken, that sounds like a name from maybe Edo State in Nigeria. So I'd like you all to put your hands together for our panelists, and we're going to go to the first question, which is, and I'll read it out. What is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality, including race? What is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality, including race? And if, please, we could start with Moses in Kenya. Oh, Moses, you're still there, or you decided to? Okay, you have to.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we are.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, certainly.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I will. So
Yes.
the question: what is the role of humanism, non-belief, in addressing inequality, including race inequality? What is the role of humanism and non-belief?
I think it addresses inequality because it's neutral in terms of religious preference. For example, here in Kenya, there was a time many organizations here in Kenya, they advertise for you must also be saved in spite of the credentials. Without being saved, you cannot be employed, especially in religious organizations. Institutions which are set up by discrimination. It's the role of humanist organization to point out to such type of discrimination and ensure that all types of organizations do not discriminate on basis of religion. I've had people who are very honest and who could do a very good job. Are not able to, they are not in belief system. That's the major area where I find this discrimination and where humanists can do a lot to change the situation.
Okay, it seems as if we've lost Moses for the time being.
Okay, Clive, we might want to move on to the next panelist until we can get Moses back. Thank you, Moses, for the response that we've heard so far.
Okay. So I'd just like to ask Ros Lyn to please answer the same question. Okay, so the question being, what is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality, including race?
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. And first of all, I'd like to give a very big thank you for giving me the pleasure to be on this at this event. And I hope you're all keeping safe during this time. Yeah, so to address the question, I would say that looking at humanism as a philosophy that comes from logical reasoning and compassion, to keep it short, that alone has to be the guide for us as humanists all over the world on how we view things and how we treat each other. And when it comes to inequality in Africa, for example, and even in Ghana, where I'm from, there are more issues on inequality in various ways. The economic gaps between, and the economic classes between the people, there's colorism, there's tribalism, which is also very much across the continent. And also, you know, on the bigger scale around the world, the issue of racism and homophobia and all these things that occur within our communities. We as humanists are the ones who have to change the narrative and change the voice and bring the voice of reason from that perspective, to bring the voice of logical thinking, critical thinking, free thinking into the conversation. Because for us, especially as Black people or as Africans, it has been a very big issue, especially through colonialism that brought a lot of the religions, especially Christianity, to this side of the continent, that brought this narrative. And now we've taken it so personal. Religion has become such a big grip on us as people that even, for example, in Ghana, 95% of us are religious. And so it has become so much a part of the identity of people that people cannot compartmentalize between secular reasoning or thinking based on reason and thinking from their doctrines or their dogmatic beliefs, and even on superstition and African traditional beliefs. Our language and everything is embedded in religion. Before colonization and after colonization. Before colonization, most of the African languages, even in Ghana that has over 40 tribes, have this idea of traditional worship of a supreme being and had the local names for it. But when colonization came, the Judeo-Christian God became the Onyankopon, the name given to the supreme being that we used to worship traditionally as this God, supreme God that is our creator and everything. But as we have, most of us who were indoctrinated before and have come out of it using reasoning, it's the same way we have to look at all aspects of our lives and how we treat each other, especially when it comes to inequality between genders, between sexual orientations, race, tribalism, etc., colorism, and so on. And it shouldn't just end where we think about our religion and how religion affects us, but in all other aspects of our lives. And so I think that it's about time that we really change the narrative and make it part of the conversation, and drown out the voices of religious dogma on social media and in other avenues as well, even in our own personal life. Sometimes it doesn't take, you know, to be this huge advocate or activist to make change, but within your community, within your own family, your friends, your workplaces. I know that a lot of us are still facing a lot of backlash or discrimination as Black atheists or Black agnostics. And I know that very few of us have the privilege to come out and speak about these things. But please, let's empower each other to rise above that, to be brave enough to come out and speak out about what we think and how we think that we should treat each other. And it starts with us. And we hope that our allies, that is the white people as well, who are in our humanist community, would be there to back us, knowing that we all fall under the same understanding of what secular humanism is and how we need to treat each other and how it will make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ros. That was very well said. So I'm going to ask David Ince, who some of you will remember, I certainly do, from him hosting Free Thinking Ireland. I'm going to ask David Ince to answer the same question. What's the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality? Please, David.
Yes, thank you so much for being here, for having me here. And I'm in Barbados right now. Sadly, my dad just passed away, but I also do quite a lot of work in Calgary, in Canada. So I have some interest from both of those countries. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. How I would build on this is that as humanists, we have the chance to bring God, that supreme being, out of the equation. And that, in a way, leads to what should be a more equal playing field. Because a lot of religion, what you're doing is you're putting God at the head. And a lot of what we're doing, therefore, is doing what we should be doing to please him. And naturally, that tends to be, therefore, not what, that builds a hierarchy. Whereas when we start from humanism, we can start from bottom up. Every human being has worth in this world. So we can start that every human being should have a voice, and therefore marginalized people get in from the beginning. And I think that would really take a lot of the issues out in terms of the biases. Because we're not now, it's not contaminated by what some other being, who often happens to be white, European, and that coming with that religion, but actually comes from what we want. And realizing that we can build the rules from we ourselves, so it empowers us. And I think it starts from us having a voice. Very often I find in the Caribbean, the people in church or people who even come out here don't feel that actually they have a right to say what's good for them. And we see that a lot of times in racism, that the white people want to say what's best for Black people. And we often as Black people let them do that because we don't really feel that we have the right to say what we can do for ourselves. So I think that just that way of looking at it, a different philosophical point, can make that very, very different. And I think as we push education and the idea that that critical thinking is important and that well-being of humans is important, we can then start to bring in these issues that we talk about, not only racism, LGBT, we talk about gender equality, all those kind of issues that we can start from a reasonable, rational discussion, not just taking dogma that's already out there. So I think that's a good place to start. We have a better way to even pull in different religions, because we're not saying that one is greater than the other. We're saying that we have this common identity, this common belief system, which is that human beings need to be put first. That's the humanist position. And I think that's a good way to start it. And we look at and see the inequalities that are there and the need to push forward with that anti-racism in order to get where we want to get to. And I think if we start from that rational position, rather than saying that how things are traditionally are how they need to continue to be, we will go further. Because, you know, when it comes to racism, the more that you can keep the status quo, or say that the status quo is good, the more unlikely you are to make changes. And religion is all about status quo. We as humanists have to be all about changing things up by putting everybody, by giving everybody a voice to start with. I don't know if that sort of, that's the way I think that we can go. So make these connections and networks, and yeah, I think we've got a good start here. I think. Yeah, a lot to do though.
Okay, thank you so much, David. I think we all agree that yes, we should put human beings first. So now I'm just going to ask Muzi Wandile from, is he still with us? From South Africa? Muzi Wandile, can you hear me? Yes.
Good evening. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, certainly. So the question is, what is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality, including race? What is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality?
All right. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this chat. I think basically it's about the power structures that we have. If we can control, not necessarily control, but if we can get, like, for example, politically, for people to even consider an atheist as a political candidate, it's unheard of in Africa, especially here in South Africa. It's near impossible. So if we can just get our voice out there, then we can make policies that affect change. And we know that if there was a humanist, for example, in power, then we wouldn't face much of the problems that we have now. There wouldn't be any bias coming from religious dogma or tradition or other factors that contribute to that kind of thing. And as for racism, that's one of the elements that would be eliminated by such an endeavor. But I think as humanists and skeptics and all the likes, we shy away from like politics, or we don't want to step on any toes because we're a minority as it is. So we want to, I think, tread lightly and like not ruffle any feathers. And I think that should change. And we should start in our own communities, give word out there that we exist and such people are around, because your neighbor could be a skeptic or humanist and you wouldn't know because we don't speak about it. We don't have, I'm not sure, but I think this is the first one that we've done, like this first meeting. And this should have been done ages ago, but I'm glad it's happening. So I think we should start at grassroots levels in our communities and get ourselves in positions that enable us to create change. Otherwise, even if we grow in numbers, it's not enough to make the changes that we want to see in the world. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear the young ones already on this path. You know, it took me a lot longer to realize religion was bullshit. So I'm very happy to see that, and I'm sure you're going to ruffle a few feathers, Muzi Wandile. So
thank you.
Now I'd like to call on Enitan, Osawese, Odupitan to answer the same question, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Enitan Odupitan. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm based here in Finland. I work and live here. And I want to give a very special thanks to the organizers and panelists of this great conversation, and also to a very good friend of mine whom I got this invitation from, in the person of Lola. We've been friends for over close to 8 years now, but on the social space, and we've not actually met in person. So I really want to say a great thank you for really considering me to be on this panel. So going to your question, which says, what is the role of humanism and non-belief in addressing inequality, including race? I will try to like break this question into parts. Like, I mean, for listeners after this conversation, like I will start with the definition of humanism, which is the belief in an advocacy of human and the environment we exist in. Like, this is what we all have now. We don't have like a year and after. So it is like a core belief that we have to make this place a living space whereby we can all harmonize and live together happily. And the core belief for humanists is did before creed. We put into action before thinking of political affiliation or religious affiliation, because humans come to mind. And if we're not talking about how the role of humanism in addressing inequality, most humanists believe inequality is deeply rooted in religion, tradition, and culture. It could be in the form of caste system, gender role, sexual orientation, age, marital status, and so many other examples like that. So, speaking from my own personal experience, because before getting to this position of being a humanist and an atheist, I've really had a lot of experience in the religious world. So I really know what inequality is standing. When I was being religious then, I had this set of mindset that being a religious person, anything good coming into this world has to be in our circle. Anyone that doesn't belong in this religious circle shouldn't be part and parcel, like a beneficiary of whatever goods that come. It can be job employment, it can be, what's it called, financial stability. All those things are kind of like interlinked into the religious circle we belong in. And if we're not looking at it, even in the religious circle, they make it in such a way that it becomes even difficult to respect people who doesn't have that core belief the same we share. Like when it comes to marriage or when it comes to job. Like in Nigeria, for example, we have in the system whereby in your curriculum vitae, where you have to state your tribe, you have to state your gender, you have to state your age, you have to state some information that doesn't even require the kind of, that doesn't make any sense to the job role you're applying for. So all those things have already put you in such a place where inequality is practiced. And as for we humanists, it should be a really great concern for us to like start championing a cause, like trying to make a difference in our own little way, to enforce policies, to make equality be a basis, like a standard for me, to be a standard foundation for every one of us living in the society. And let me see if I have any other thing from my notes. I think that's all for now. That's all for now.
Lovely, thank you. It was a great answer. So I'll just like to thank all the panelists for their answers. We're running a bit late. I'm going to use my power as an organizer to scrub the next question, and I'll reintroduce Leo Igwe to say some words to kind of wrap up and to start wrapping up. I'll just quickly introduce Leo Igwe again. You know, this is the man, this is one of the people who is responsible for what was for a new group at the time in 2012, London Black Atheists. And when we reached out to Leo, he was in Germany at the time, you know, with a new group starting up. Will you do a talk for us? He was so happy that, oh my goodness, a new atheist, you know, rational group is starting up. He came over and gave us a fantastic talk, which you can still see on YouTube, which is breaking the taboo of atheism in Black communities. And you know, so he saw the fans, he saw the embers, he saw the little glint of light, you know, of atheism and humanism and rationality springing up somewhere. And he came over and he fanned those flames and he got our group going, you know. So all you big people here today, if you see any chance you get to encourage some other fledgling group to get started, please take it and spread rationality and enlightenment everywhere to make the world a better place. And now, if Leo, please, if you could just come in and say a few words again.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a very inspiring day and inspiring talk. And I'm going to just quickly tell you about the case of Mubarak. Then I'll wrap up with a few words. Mubarak was with us in court. Let me use it that way. But today, we don't know where he is. We don't know whether he is alive or dead. What was his offense? He wrote something on Facebook that annoyed some Muslims. I spoke with him 2 days before his arrest, and he was getting death threats. And I told him, let's report to the police. He told me, no, that it will escalate the matter. Now you can see where we are today. 2 days after that, they arrested him, took him to Kano. And we really don't know today if Mubarak is alive or dead. They have been blocking every effort to give him access to a lawyer, to formally charge him, even to allow the wife and the 6-month-old baby to see him. So we are still doing our best to see what we can do to get Mubarak released. And of course, you may have heard the case in Pakistan, where somebody who was brought to court, who was accused of blasphemy, was shot in court. And people came and celebrated. They came and protested. They carried the guy up. Even when he was arrested, people were having selfie with a murderer. Those people have, in Nigeria, people who look up to them as models. We also have a case of the 22-year-old singer that was recently sentenced to death by a Sharia court. And the Association of Muslim Lawyers have said, look, the governor should go ahead and enforce the sentence, even when there is an opportunity for an appeal. We have also seen the Council of Imam who are saying the governor should please hurry up. They should hurry up and execute this man, because I'm sure definitely there is something that is going to happen. There's something they stand to gain. Nobody knows exactly. So that's where we are today, and we are working tirelessly to see what we can do to get Mubarak released. And thanks to the support from Humanist International, from Atheist Alliance, from many of you out there, we've had a lot of international support. And we are working with diplomatic community, with NGOs, Amnesty International, to see what we can do. And the UN, they have even released a statement. Wole Soyinka has released a statement in support to see what we can do to soften their hands and their grip and let this man go. Now, in conclusion, I want to make reference to 2 things. The issue of ridiculing religion. Dear friends, I believe that our community is going to be diverse, and we are speaking to religious oppression, religious totalitarianism from different circumstances. Sometimes some of us have had it easy, some have had it tough. Like where Mubarak is now, I'm sure he may not agree with the fact that sometimes we cannot highlight some of the beliefs, absurd beliefs of religion. And there is that saying by Voltaire, I don't know, I can't quote it exactly, but he says that those who believe in absurdities, they also tend to commit atrocities. We need to highlight the absurdities of religion. and we should not refrain from it. But because these absurdities, they sometimes inform the kind of fundamentalist and extremist ideas, like the one in the minds of those who are holding Mubarak today. Because they are holding Mubarak because they think that they're going to get a ticket to a heaven that does not exist. And we should not shy away from the fact and telling them, look, hey man, these women, of course, this paradise is not there. There's no evidence for it at all. We should not shy away from it. And we should not think that it is offensive. No, it is our duty to highlight the absurdity of absurd ideas. I mean, when you say a ridiculous idea is ridiculous, you are not even doing anything extraordinary. You're just saying it as it is. That's number one. And I know that Lola said something about the bread and butter. And I still hope that we will have opportunity to keep debating this. Yes, they provide people bread and butter, but they should first of all take that bread and butter themselves before giving them to me. That is what we are saying. So what happens there is that, yes, if they take this bread and butter, they're comfortable with it. If they want to give it to me, I have a right to question and say, hey, who made this bread and butter? From where? And I also have a right to reject the bread and butter. It's not by force. The problem is that they provide bread and butter and they want to force it down the throat of other people. So I believe with this movement, we will have to come together and begin to highlight those absurdities that sometimes inform extremist beliefs and ideas. Fanaticism. People want to go to paradise and wear white clothes. And you ask them, which body are you going to wear white clothes? Is it the one that has just decayed in the grave? They said they will be singing internally. Singing which song? Which tongue are you going to sing? It is important that these fundamental absurd beliefs be highlighted because they actually shape the attitude of people. And sometimes atheists and non-believers and skeptics are the targets of the persecution. And again, when it comes to that bread and butter, we should all have the right to question it, especially when they want to give it to us. So, as we come to the end of this, I say, thank you so much for coming together for this event. And like I said, let's have more of this and let the debate continue. And at the end of the day, it will be all about progress, it will be all about development, it's all about enlightenment, and it's all about sending a strong message across the Black community and across the Black world that we are here, and that we matter. You can't put us in jail because we hold a different view and you want to be outside. No, you cannot. It is completely unacceptable. And we must deploy all civilized means, debate, discussion, debunking, ridiculing, to make sure that we unloose, we try to weaken their fist and weaken their grip on ourselves, on our freedoms, so that we, like every other society, where this struggle has been waged over the years, continue to live in peace and continue to live in an atmosphere of respect, dignity, and equality with among believers and non-believers alike. So once again, thank you all for coming, and I hope that we will keep having programs like this, and we will continue to do whatever we can to grow non-belief or grow humanism and atheism in the Black community and beyond. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you. That's very important. Well,
absolutely.
Thank you. Well, we are coming to the end of our day. We've had important discussions and in the panel groups and messages from Leo. So now, if please, Roger, if you could please give us a closing piece of music, that would be fantastic.
Roger, are you there?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I was just saying it's such an inspiration to be here and to hear everybody speak and to see everybody's beautiful faces and pictures from all over the diaspora. As Mandisa said, I'm from the DC area, but I've been born I'm Caribbean born, so I represent another part of the diaspora in terms of my birthplace and some of my upbringing. And this song is in keeping with what Leo just said, and I hope that everybody can take this with them on their way as we go. All right.
we'll all be
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much, Roger. So we just hear a few more words from Mandisa as we close up, as we round up the day.
I am in tears right now, partially because of the fact that we're all here together right now, but also I am as inspired by this, and I hope that you all are too. For those of you who aren't familiar with the work of Black Nonbelievers in the United States, we actually have been going strong now for close to 10 years. We started back in 2011, and we are very event-based, and we have been connecting with our fellow Black atheists and humanists, as well as our other humanist colleagues since that time through a number of events. And our YouTube channel is Black Nonbelievers, Inc. You can find video recordings from some of our previous events on that channel, including the first ever Women of Color Beyond Belief conference that took place last year, which is the first ever conference that featured all women of color presenters. And what this tells us about this movement, as well as our demographic, is not only that we are growing, that we are making our voices heard, and that we are doing this work. And for those of us who didn't think we were, we really are. And it does take for us to come together, and we need that support. It really does start with us. And as human beings, we really, really do make the difference here. So I challenge everyone to not just support your favorite organization, but more than one. As you can see, there's representation from around the world. And as you can see that more of us are dedicating, some of us have dedicated our lives to this. And that work shouldn't go in vain. And it comes in many different forms, as you can see here. The religious community does not have the right on fellow. They do not have the monopoly on fellowship. I personally think they have hijacked it. They do not have the monopoly on creativity. They do not have the monopoly on what it is to be human beings. And we can set that example. I honestly believe we have been doing it, and we can continue to do that as we move forward. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today. I'd like to thank the Association of Black Humanists, for collaborating on this event. I'd like to thank my fellow riders, my organizers, Bria, who's representing Detroit, Tina, who's representing Charlotte, Roger, who is representing DC, and for everyone who is representing all around the world. Do continue to support and follow our work. Let's continue to connect with each other and continue to build, because this current situation is temporary. We have the opportunity to make it better. And again, leading the charge on how to do that, I think will definitely, I think we can definitely lead the example on how to do that. So thank you all again for joining us. And thank you to Yolanda as well for the wonderful poetry. Again, please do support the work of our organizations as well as the talent that we've seen here this afternoon. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Mandisa. Well, I'll just repeat that Association of Black Humanists has been going for about 8 years as well. So we're just a year or two behind probably Black Nonbelievers, but it's been great to meet up like this and do an event together. We also have a YouTube channel, and you will find if you go there that it's very eclectic. It covers a wide range. We are not about getting a hammer and bashing religion. It's much more than that. We have a duty to do some good in the world and to improve and entertain ourselves and to learn new things. So if anything, this year has been very challenging, as we all know, with the COVID situation, but with it's amazing that despite all that, we've been able to get together like this and to meet up online and support each other. We're also supporting, that's to say, Association of Black Humanists, we're supporting a charity called Tonic Living, and we're doing some fundraising for them. Tonic Living has retirement communities for older LGBT people. So but we're raising some money for them, you know, because I think it's important to keep on showing our humanism even in times like this. So please, all of you, look out, because this has been so great that I'd like to do it again tomorrow, but maybe if not tomorrow, maybe next year or so. And so look out for the next one, and I'm sure it will be even bigger and better than what we've experienced today. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you all at another online event like this, or perhaps we'll be able to meet up and see each other face to face when we've defeated this COVID business. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.